And I think what really stands out to me about the Kobbie Mainoo conversation, comes on last night, looks very assured, very comfortable on the ball in that last 50 minutes last night, is that let's not forget that Gareth didn't have him in the squad originally for these games. Only called him up later in the week, and then he ends up getting minutes, and now people are calling for him to start against Belgium. Is he forcing his way in for you?
Yeah, but I think the Kobbie Mainoo was a prime example of, he's 18, right? So to look assured when you're making your debut at 18, you're playing for the full England side, is amazing when you go in the full house at Wembley. But I think he highlighted how England were playing and do play, because you could tell that he didn't want to make a mistake. He didn't want to take a chance where you're pinging it through the midfield into Ollie Watkins, you know what I mean, or out to the wide areas. So I think he had one brilliant turn where he was on the halfway line, didn't he? Where he's put under tight position and he just had a little Cruyff turn and spun away, and you thought, all right, that's where he's playing instinctively. You know, that's when you're playing off the cuff. And sometimes you have to play off the cuff in a game, and that creates space for other people. You create a chance. So if you looked at him, there's a couple of times he took 3 or 4 touches where he could have just rolled it out to the left-hand side to Ben Chilwell, where he sort of ran it 3 or 4 paces first before he passed it. So you can understand on your debut not wanting to make mistakes. Now, if he plays against Belgium on Tuesday, you would hope that, I hope personally, obviously as a gooner, I hope that Declan Rice doesn't play on Tuesday, because I want him resting up for the big game next Sunday against Man City. And you're not, as well with Declan Rice, I think you're talking about plan Bs with Harry Kane not being inside. I think you've got to have a plan B if Declan Rice gets injured or is suspended for a game in the tournament as well. So I don't see what you're going to learn if you play Declan Rice on Tuesday anyway. So maybe
also the Arsenal fan in you,
exactly, I don't want him to get injured.
Yeah,
Saliba didn't play for France actually yesterday, so that was a major result when they beat Germany. So that was superb. Sorry, when Germany beat France.
I think from my perspective, and you're right, he came on, and I think he did display tactically. I'd love to know what Southgate told him going on. Did he say to him, considering they were about to go a goal down, I didn't know that at the time, but did he say to him, put a foot on the ball,
keep it simple,
keep possession, short passes, keep it simple, don't try anything too much, because that's what it looked like. You compare the performance last night, and he came on for Gallagher and immediately looked more assured on the ball, looked immediately better on the half turn, everything looked much more settled. But you compare it with the performance against Liverpool the previous weekend, where I thought he was absolutely sensational, particularly in the first half. And he's just so dynamic as a player, so brilliant with the ball at his feet, great range of passing, fantastic vision for such a young man as well. Like, he actually reminds me of what we saw from Bellingham a couple of years ago. All of those traits seem to be there. And then he comes on last night, he doesn't do anything wrong, but where's that dynamism from the week before?
But that game the week before in the FA Cup quarter-final against Liverpool, that game was mayhem. The game was mayhem, because the way that Liverpool play, obviously, they like to press and they like to get on the front foot. So Manchester United got caught up in maybe on more on the counter-attacking side. So that mayhem enabled him to play a little bit more naturally and a lot more freely. Do you know what I mean? In his movement and where he fought the ball, where to go and track it down, where he get his little interceptions, where he go for when he's 50-50s, and then allow him to carry the ball a lot further, which he's very good with it. He got good balance. Last night was more Gareth Southgate. You're not going to get mayhem football with Gareth Southgate, are you? It's going to be very structured, very like painting by numbers, which it happens. And that's where I think even the criticism from some of the callers had in, that Gareth Southgate isn't maverick enough for this group of players that he has. So he's created the right culture, but then you've just got to release the hounds every now and again and say, right, I'm going to try and do something differently, or I'm going to put more forwards on the pitch, because we've got to impose ours. I don't think we impose for the talent of players that we have against even the top nations. I don't think we impose ourselves on the opposition enough. France was a typical example in the quarter-final, when we're on top and you think, right, now make your, they call them the impactors now, didn't they, or the finishers. That's a time to release them and put, fresh legs on. When you've got your foot on the throat of the opposition, then you go for it. Unfortunately, Gareth Southgate isn't that type of manager. I think he's very good, but he's not elite. And this is an elite group of players that he has, especially in the forward areas.
I've got a feeling we will still see Rice on Tuesday, to be honest. I know that Arsenal Man City is on the Sunday.
Right, just a half then.
But that's what I'm thinking. I think earlier changes than last night we didn't see, other than the enforced change with Kyle Walker. But him and Mainoo in the middle, I'd love to see it on Tuesday. Maybe Maddison getting rotated in as well in that 10 role. Like, I think there's a few obvious changes he could make that will set us up nicely to see what we've got going forwards. Loads of your calls still coming on this. 0371722 3344. Would love to hear from United fans, Mainoo fans, just people in general, on what they think of the idea of starting Kobbie Mainoo.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.